I still wake up some nights tasting exhaust and cold vanilla latte, the ghost of that morning clinging to the back of my throat like smoke that refuses to clear. It's always the same dream. I'm pulling into their driveway at exactly 6:02 a.m., 2 minutes late, heart jackhammering against my ribs with a kind of pure, childish excitement I hadn't felt since I was 8 years old and believed my parents hung the moon. The sky is the color of a fresh bruise, streetlights still glowing weakly against the gray. I kill the engine, grab the 3 travel mugs I stayed up late preparing, Mom's vanilla oat milk latte with exactly 2 pumps, Dad's black coffee strong enough to strip paint, and my own peppermint mocha that I was finally allowing myself to enjoy, and I step out smiling so wide my face hurts. I had rehearsed this moment in my head for 2 straight years. I knew exactly how it would go. Mom would cry happy tears and hug me so hard her necklace would leave little indentations on my cheek. Dad would pretend he wasn't getting misty-eyed and clear his throat a dozen times while loading the trunk. Even Elena, my spoiled, beautiful, perpetually stressed little sister, would throw her arms around me and whisper, "You're literally the best human on earth, Nora." I had earned that moment. I had bled for it. Instead, the front door opened and the universe cracked clean in half. Mom came down the porch steps first, dragging the navy suitcase I'd bought her last Christmas because the old one was falling apart and this trip deserved something special. Behind her floated Elena, sunglasses on at dawn like some budget influencer, wheeling a gleaming rose gold spinner I had never seen before. Definitely not from the budget section. Dad shuffled out last, eyes glued to the concrete, carrying his ancient leather duffel like it was filled with bricks instead of folded polo shirts. My voice came out smaller than I'd ever heard it. What is this?" Mom didn't. "Slow down." She didn't even look at me when she answered. "Change of plans, sweetheart. We talked it over last night. Elena's been having such a hard time with school and her anxiety and everything. She needs this trip more than you do right now. You're always so strong. You'll be fine." Needs. The word sliced me open and let 26 years of swallowed resentment spill out onto the driveway. Elena lifted her sunglasses just enough to flash that lazy, triumphant half-smile she's been weaponizing since middle school. "You're seriously the best for understanding, Nora. I owe you forever." She said it the same way she used to say it when she borrowed my favorite sweaters and returned them stretched out and smelling like her coconut perfume. Dad still wouldn't meet my eyes. He just handed me his duffel like I was the hired help and climbed into the back seat without a word. Mom took shotgun, my seat, the one I was supposed to occupy for the next 10 days while we laughed and pointed out landmarks and took 1,000 photos. Elena slid across the back seat leather I had paid to have reconditioned and immediately started filming a "surprise I'm going to Europe" TikTok, fake whispering into her phone like the world had been waiting for this reveal. I loaded their bags. I closed the trunk. I got behind the wheel. And I drove. 43 minutes of pure, suffocating hell. Elena never stopped talking, about which rooftop bars had the best aesthetic for photos, about how she was finally going to blow up on social media, about whether the hotel spa would do gel nails even though she hadn't booked anything. Mom laughed like this was the cutest mother-daughter adventure in history. Dad stared out the window and occasionally made a small throat-clearing noise, the way he does when he wants to speak, but decides the fallout isn't worth it. I tasted blood the entire way. I had bitten the inside of my cheek so hard it split open. At the departure drop, off they tumbled out like this was just another Tuesday morning. Elena turned and blew me a kiss through the window. "Love you, sis. Manifesting the best time ever?" Mom gave me a quick, stiff hug that smelled like her usual floral perfume, mixed with guilt. "Thank you for being so mature about this, honey. We knew you'd understand." Dad finally looked at me for half a second. I thought I saw something flicker across his face, shame maybe. Then he turned and followed them inside. I sat in the short-term parking garage until the dashboard clock rolled past 7:30. The airport loudspeakers droned overhead about gate changes and final calls. Families laughed. Someone's toddler was screaming about a lost stuffed giraffe. Normal life swirled around me while mine ended in perfect silence. Then I opened my phone. I started with a hotel in Paris, the one with the tiny balcony and the direct view of the Eiffel Tower that I had refreshed the booking page for every single day for 6 months just to watch the little green confirmed badge glow. Cancelled. The private cooking class in Tuscany where the chef's 90-year-old grandmother still rolls pasta by hand. Cancelled. The sunrise hot air balloon ride over Provence I'd booked for Mom's birthday while we were actually there. Refunded. The skip-the-line Vatican tickets, the Sunset Seine cruise with the 3-course dinner and live accordion player, the vineyard picnic in Champagne where they pop the cork with a sword. Gone, gone, gone. Every confirmation email that landed in my inbox felt like a small, white coffin being lowered into the ground. When the last one hit, I closed the app and stared at my reflection in the black screen. My eyes were wide, pupils blown, like I'd just woken up from a car wreck and realized I was still alive. For the first time in years, I wasn't tired. I was electric. They called before their plane even touched down at Charles de Gaulle. I let it ring until voicemail. Caught it. Then the text came like machine gun fire. Mom. Nora the hotel says there's no reservation. What is going on? Call me. Elena, this is actually insane. You're literally sabotaging my mental health right now. Dad. Honey, whatever this is, we can fix it when we land. Please answer. Mia, my best friend, your mom just called me crying saying you're missing. I told her you joined a silent meditation retreat in the Himalayas and won't have service for weeks. You owe me dinner and therapy. I ate cereal straight from the box, milk splashing down my chin, and watched the notifications stack like unread sins. By the second day, they had activated the entire family phone tree. Aunts I hadn't spoken to since high school graduation suddenly cared deeply about my well-being. Mom left a 12-minute voicemail that swung wildly between hysterical sobbing and screaming about, "How could you do this to your sister?" I could hear Elena in the background wailing about hostels and shared bathrooms with actual strangers, Mom. I played it on speaker while I brewed coffee. My cat, Pickles, sat on the counter judging me with his one good eye. Day 3, Mia forwarded me a screenshot. My mother had posted a tear-stained selfie on Facebook with a caption, "Please keep our family in your prayers during this difficult season. Some hurts run deeper than we ever imagined." 732 likes. 400 crying emojis. Comments ranging from praying to whatever Nora did, I'm sure she's sorry. I laughed so hard I had to sit on the kitchen floor and hug my knees to keep from shaking. Day 5. I'm curled on the couch in the same sweatpants I wore to the airport, hair unwashed, empty wine bottle on the coffee table, when I finally answer a call. Mom picks up screaming before I can even say hello. We have been sleeping in a dormitory with 8 strangers, and there are bedbugs. Nora. Do you hear me? Bedbugs. I take a slow sip from the mug I'm now using as a wine glass. That sounds uncomfortable. It's humiliating. Your father hasn't slept in 3 days. The tour company laughed at us when we showed up. Almost, I say, voice soft and lethal, as humiliating as saving for 2 years, planning every detail of a once-in-a-lifetime family trip, and being told 12 hours before departure that you're no longer invited because your little sister is stressed about midterms. Silence, so thick I can hear Elena breathing hard in the background. Then Mom hisses, "This is not the daughter I raised." "No, y whisper. It's the one you finally created." I hang up and turn the phone off for the first time since college. The quiet that follows is sacred. It has weight and texture and color. It sounds like the blood finally rushing back into my frozen hands. I thought that was rock bottom. I was so wrong. 2 weeks later, I'm in the grocery store trying to remember if I need milk when my phone rings with a number I haven't seen since I was 16. "Grandma." I answer, bracing for the usual lecture about blood being thicker than water and turning the other cheek. Instead, her voice is trembling with age and fury. "Nora, baby, your mother told the entire family you stole the money for that trip. She brought printed bank statements to Aunt Linda's birthday dinner. Said you've been siphoning from your father's retirement account for years, spending it on clothes and parties and God knows what else." She cried so hard people were passing her tissues. The carton of eggs slips from my hand and explodes across the linoleum like a crime scene. I drive home with yolk drying on my sneakers. I log into the account I swore I would never link to the family computers. There they are, dozens, maybe hundreds of small transfers I never authorized. 300 on a night, I pulled a double. 900 the week, I covered Elena's credit card bill, so it wouldn't go to collections again. Always on days I was too exhausted to balance my checkbook. All funneled into a joint savings account labeled Family Europe Fund that I apparently opened 6 months ago and immediately forgot existed. My mother didn't just replace me. She robbed me blind, drip by drip, slow enough that I blamed myself for miscalculating and being bad with money. Then she turned around and painted me as the villain to anyone who would listen. I sit on the cold kitchen tile and stare at the screen until the numbers blur into a watercolor of betrayal. I wait for the tears. They don't come. Instead, something ancient and furious uncurls in my chest, something that has been asleep since I was 7 years old and learned that if I was quiet and helpful and good, maybe they would love me the same way they loved Elena. I open a new tab. One-way ticket to Rome. Departing in 6 days. I click purchase with fingers that suddenly feel steady for the first time in years. The next 5 days are a fevered dream of letting go. I donate the 3 dresses I bought for Parisian nights to a girl on Facebook who's taking her mom for the first time. I sell the extra suitcase to a college kid heading to study abroad. I box up every family photo where I'm standing slightly outside the frame and carry them to the curb on trash day. I leave my phone powered off and my mailbox unchecked. I walk through my apartment touching everything like I'm saying goodbye to a life I never actually lived. When the plane lifts off the runway, I don't look out the window at the city shrinking below. I close my eyes and feel the exact moment the last tether snaps. Rome smells like espresso and sunshine and hot stone and possibility. I have no itinerary, no one to please, no one waiting for me to fix their mistakes. I eat carbonara at 3 p.m. because I'm hungry and it's there. I drink Aperol Spritz at lunch because it's orange and beautiful and no one is telling me I have to drive later. I sit in the Pantheon while rain pours through the oculus and cry not for them, but for the girl who thought love was something you could earn with spreadsheets and overtime and swallowed screams. One afternoon in Florence, I climbed the hill to Piazzale Michelangelo with a bottle of Chianti I bought from a street vendor who called me Bella like he meant it. The city spreads below me, all gold and rust and ancient light. An old Italian man sitting nearby offers me half his panino and a toothless grin. We don't speak the same language, but he taps his chest and says, "Famiglia complicato." I laugh so hard I almost fall off the wall, and for the first time in years the sound coming out of me is wild and free and mine. On my last evening I sit on the Spanish steps with pistachio gelato dripping down my wrist and open the leather journal I bought in a tiny shop near the Trevi Fountain. The pages are no longer filled with color-coded itineraries and dietary restrictions for people who never once said thank you. They are filled with mine. Learn to throw clay until I can make bowls strong enough to hold everything I'm becoming. Hike the Dolomites with no one to complain about the incline or take photos for. Adopt the ugliest, oldest, drooliest dog at the shelter and let him ruin every couch I own. Never answer another 3 a.m. call that starts with, "I know you're busy, but Elena needs." Say no and mean it like a slammed door. Say yes and mean it like a window thrown open to summer. The sun melts into blood orange and violet, and I realize I'm not angry anymore. Anger is heavy. This is air. I fly home lighter by an entire childhood. They try, of course. Softer texts now. Carefully worded apologies that still manage to include the phrase, "We all made mistakes," and "Elena's been through so much." I read them while Gelato, the 3-legged, one-eyed mutt I adopted the day I landed, snores on my feet, drooling on my socks like it's his job. I don't answer. Some doors, once closed, stay closed forever. I have new plants lining every windowsill, and I haven't killed a single one yet. A passport thick with stamps they will never see. A savings account that only has my name on it, and is growing again, slowly, steadily mine. And a heart that finally understands the difference between family and people who love you. So here I am, still waking up some nights tasting exhaust and cold vanilla latte. But now I roll over, scratch gelato behind his one good ear, and go back to sleep smiling. Because the dream isn't a nightmare anymore. It's a scar that says I survived. A origin story that ends with me choosing me. And if you're watching this and you've ever been the one who gave everything, every dollar, every weekend, every piece of yourself, only to be told you weren't enough. If you've ever stood in a driveway holding travel mugs while the people who were supposed to choose you walked away without looking back, know this. You don't have to forgive them to be free. You just have to stop waiting for them to hand you the life they never intended to give you. Take the money. Take the trip. Take the whole damn world if you have to. Because the seat they told you wasn't yours? It was yours the entire time. And the view, God, the view, is breathtaking when no one is making you shrink to fit beside them. So tell me in the comments, when was the moment you finally chose yourself? What did it cost you? And what did it give you? I read every single one. Some nights I still need to be reminded I wasn't crazy. I was just finished being invisible. And now I take up all the space I was ever denied. And I never, ever apologize for it again.